People, get ready for Tami Live, a celebration of life. Tami Live seeks to inspire, motivate, and uplift. As a positive, happy, motivated, energetic person who highlights optimistic energy, get ready to laugh, get ready to dance, get ready to celebrate life with Tami Live, starting right now.
Hello there, and welcome to Tami Live. I am so excited about today because we're going to talk about diabetes. But not just diabetes, embracing life with diabetes. I have a couple of people in my circle who have diabetes or have other chronic diseases, and sometimes some of them don't embrace life. We are so caught up with the disease itself that we allow it to take over. Today, my guest says, I am going to live life, diabetes and all. And I hope that today, if you have diabetes, you will be inspired by my guest to just get up, take diabetes by the hold, and move forward. Tami Live will be right back.
You're watching JTV.
We are back. Welcome back to Tami Live. If you've just tuned in, today we're talking about embracing diabetes. And you might be thinking, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to welcome my guest now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Tami, and thank you for having me on the show. It's a great pleasure.
I'm so happy to have you here, James. James Bridgewater decided to come on, and I'm so glad you took me up on the offer, because I've known you for a little while, but it's just recently that I realized that you have diabetes.
Well, that's true, Tami. I came down with diabetes in 2004. And how it came on is I had been losing weight. It started in January, and I started losing about 10 pounds a month.
Wow.
And in total, in those days, Tami, I was a little bit heavier than I am now. I was about 220 pounds, and I'm about 6'2". So I was a little bit overweight. I was 42 years old, I guess, at the time.
Okay.
And I was incredibly thirsty all the time, drinking lots and lots of water, lots of tea in the morning and throughout the day. I remember I just had this passion for eating grapefruit, you know, fresh grapefruits, which I'd do 2 or 3 a day.
Wow.
But it was serious that I was losing 10 pounds of weight.
That's quite a bit of weight.
It was 60 pounds, all told.
Wow.
So I went down to about 149 pounds. And, you know, many of my friends, you know, I was a Rotarian at the time in the Thursday Club, and many of my friends were, you know, slightly worried about me. Concerned. I went to the doctor, and the doctor here told me to come back in a month if I continued losing weight. But in August, I was back in London visiting my family, and my family told me to go and see a doctor. So I went to see my GP back in London, and told him my symptoms, told him I was very thirsty all the time, urinating a lot, obviously, because of the amount that I was drinking.
Water.
Losing a tremendous amount of weight, 60 pounds in weight. And he immediately just took out a little testing kit, pricked my finger, measured my blood glucose, and I think I was up around 600.
Wow.
Now the range should be between 50 and 180.
My goodness.
So he said that I was, if I was any higher, he would have admitted me to hospital. And referred me to a specialist in Wigmore Street at the time, the London Diabetes Clinic.
What were your thoughts at that time?
It was bewilderment, because you know, I'd met as a child 1 or 2 children with type 1 diabetes at school, but they didn't seem to be anything like me, so I wouldn't know why I would have had it.
Right.
And I really didn't know much about the condition. I come from a very large family, and nobody in my family has diabetes, and it is often hereditary, so I'm surprised about that. So it was a bit of a shock, and I think the first thing I needed to do was learn as much about the condition as I could.
Right.
But I had a problem, because one of the side effects of having high blood glucose is that your eyesight goes blurry.
Oh, my.
And I'd always had perfect eyesight.
Right.
And I needed to buy some reading glasses. But because my blood sugar was out of control, my eyes were going out of whack.
Right.
So I needed constantly to buy new glasses.
It was changing all the time?
Yeah, it was changing all the time.
Oh my
so,
goodness.
you know, every few days it was getting worse until I got it under control. So I couldn't learn about the condition without reading about the condition.
Exactly.
And I couldn't read because I needed to see to read.
What type of diabetes do you have?
Well, it became apparent at first. He said it was type 2, the doctor. Then he said it was atypical type 2, which is a kind of halfway between type 2 and type 1.
Okay.
And what happened with me, Tami, is for the first few years I was type 2, but now I'm more veering towards type 1. And now I manage the condition with insulin. And it's significantly easier for me to manage with insulin than it was with pills. I was able to manage with pills and exercise at first. When I got back to Tortola, I joined the Cutting Edge Gym. Is it okay to say the name of the gym?
Absolutely.
Cutting Edge Gym. Did their aerobics classes after work. And then I did weights with the guys down there after work and started getting fitter.
Right.
I was on pills. One of the drugs was called metformin, and another one was Avandia, which is in the news a lot now for causing heart disease. And I was on those pills for with an additional one called Nova Rapid, which I would take just before 20 minutes before a meal.
That's quite a lot to deal with, though.
It's bewildering, Tami. I mean, it really was. There was so much to learn in such a short space of time about the condition. And diabetes is a chronic condition that will affect literally everything. It will affect your eyes. It will affect, you know, there's a condition, neuropathy, which causes tinglings in the fingers and the feet. It affects your you know, everything, all of your kidneys, your daily functioning, liver, everything.
Quality of life.
Yes, exactly. But there is hope, Tami. You know, if you manage it well and you eat a healthy, balanced diet and you get good exercise, you can live a perfectly normal, happy life.
And James, that's why I've asked you to come on the show.
Oh, is it?
Because I want you to talk to that person who's dealing with diabetes and get them on that road to that hopeful future that you talk about, that I know you're living. You come on here with your beautiful red shoes, you're flossing it, and you're managing it. So when we come back from the break, I want us to talk about how you're managing it, how you're getting through every day, how you deal with the rough days. So we're going to talk about that right after this. Tami Live will be right back.
You're watching JTV.
Welcome back to Tami Live. I'm just having such a blast, especially between the breaks with James Bridgewater. He is just the funniest guy I know, and he is living with diabetes. If you've just tuned in, we spoke about the fact that you have type 2 diabetes, close to type 1 diabetes.
Yes.
But what I want to talk about now is how do you manage it day to day? How do you get through it?
Well, Tami, it's really a 24/7 management process. And you have to, if you've got type 2 diabetes, it's important to be aware of what you eat and how much you eat. How much you eat is very, very important. Those big Caribbean lunches,
can't do that anymore.
Can't do that. Carbohydrate-rich diets, can't do that anymore. So I went for some very good nutritionist advice, and they said, there are some food groups which slowly release glucose and energy into your bloodstream, and some which do it very fast. Obviously, fruit juice. Everybody thinks fruit juice is good for you. If you type 2 diabetes, you shouldn't be drinking fruit juice unless your blood sugar is dangerously low and you need to bring your blood sugar up. If you have fruit, and you should eat fruit, maybe 5 portions a day. Stay clear of oranges, but apples, stay clear of bananas. If you have to eat a banana, eat a very, very ripe one, because as they get riper, more of the sugar, it turns to sugar. It's higher in sugar when they're riper. So he said if you want to eat an apple in the morning as a morning snack, only eat half an apple and have it with a slice of cheese as a protein. So have half a piece of fruit and a slice of protein, and that will slow the release and give you constant energy throughout the day.
Okay.
And the reason half an apple is you've got to be careful about how much you eat, because if you eat a whole apple or 2 apples, or an apple and a banana, it's going to shoot you way over the top, and then that's going to be dangerous.
Yes. Let's talk about that chart that you have, the management that you have, because I think that's going to be interesting for people who do have diabetes, and I think it's a major tool to have if you have diabetes, how you manage day to day with it.
Yeah, I've showed it to some of the doctors on the island, and they've been very impressed with it. When you have diabetes, it's important to test your blood glucose regularly, and you can buy a testing meter from any of the pharmacies here. I usually go to Medicare, and I buy my test strips. You can buy them from either the Diabetes Association on the new Yana Downing complex on Main Street, or from any of the pharmacies on the island. And it's important to test your blood glucose at every different point during the day and every day of the week. So you can't just test it at the same time. Your most important reading is your fasting reading, which is your wake-up reading in the morning, because you've been asleep for 8 hours.
Right.
But then you should test yourself before breakfast, after breakfast, before lunch,
what I was just going to ask
after lunch.
So it's when you wake up in the morning, before you eat breakfast, how you eat after you eat breakfast, and I guess that's how that particular meal affects your blood level. Is that correct?
And how you need to manage it is that 2 hours after you've eaten the meal, your blood glucose should be back within its normal range. It's okay to spike up from the moment you've eaten it within that 2 hour range, but 2 to 3 hours after you've had your meal, if you're not back down into your normal range, then you've eaten too much, you've eaten the wrong food, you haven't taken enough medication, you need to do more exercise. If you do exercise, it will lower your blood glucose. So if you eat a particularly bad meal, go and take a walk along Long Bay Beach.
You need to do something.
That's right.
The charts help you manage all of this activity, because you're talking about making sure your sugar is at a certain level, making sure your exercise activity is at a certain level. And this is something that you're saying is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week kind of thing.
So the meter that you use, if you go online with the make and type of your meter, the company that manufactures it should be able to offer you free software.
Right.
And then you buy a cable from the website, which is just a data cable. It should cost you about $20. Your meter will store up to 6 months worth of results, and then you can just upload those results, and then if you're familiar technologically with computers, you should easily be able to look at your results and see analyze that data that you've uploaded. It's important, if you go to if you look at it on a day by day, and for instance, that your report is telling you that you're high on a Sunday afternoon, is that because you've just come back from grandmother's every Sunday
and you've had that
big
meal.
Chocolate cake?
Yes, because you can't turn down your grandmother now, come on.
Exactly. So by looking by day, it can show you, what do I do on a Sunday? What do I do on a Thursday that spikes me high? If you're having a hypo, what do I do on a Wednesday that sends me low? Is it because you train out? You go to the gym and do a workout schedule on that particular day. So use it. Everybody's different. Everybody's condition is different, and you've just got to use your readings to work out what it is you need to do. And the doctors are going to give you the tools, and hopefully the education.
So it's all about management, is what I'm hearing from you.
It's all about management. But when you've got it under good control, you feel fantastic. If my blood sugar spikes up too high, I feel lethargic and tired. And then, my girlfriend, she calls me lazy, and
And you don't want that.
Yeah. No, of course not. No. Why are you sitting on the bed with the remote control? Yeah.
And you know what it is. You know the signals now, because you've had it for a couple of years. So you know how to deal with it. But even though you're happy you know, every time I see you're a happy person, there must be rough points. There must be days where you're just thinking, man, I just don't want to deal with this. How do you get through those days?
I drink. No, Tammy, I never drink.
No, he does not. But seriously, James, how do you get through it?
Well, the important thing is just get yourself through. You know, after 7 years, I'm now used to, you know, I got used to taking the pills, got used to doing the exercises. I'm not as good as I should be, not nearly as good as you and motivated as you. But, you know, you don't have to join a gym. You know, 30 minutes of walking. You know, try and just raise your heartbeat up, you know, so that you can elevate it above its normal pace for 30 minutes a day. And then be careful of what you eat. You know, it used to depress me. I found it terribly depressing. When I came down with diabetes, it was just as I was getting divorced. I was a single parent. I just had so much going on in, you know, my life, which none of it I had planned. I never thought for 1 minute I would ever be a single parent. Didn't
With
think
diabetes.
for 1 minute that when I bought my house at West End, I would be sending my son to cedar school at the opposite end of the island and have to do that across town traffic every day. But, you know, as time goes on and as, you know, I have this philosophy on life, Tammy. Your life is never going to be perfect. So don't cause it to allow you to be unhappy.
Exactly.
Live every day
to the fullest.
To the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, realize that how you behave really affects how other people behave around you.
Absolutely.
If you have a positive outlook on life, other people around you will take on that positive energy.
Exactly.
And, you know, and you know, if I'm having a miserable day, I'll phone up a few friends, you know, and we've got some of the same friends, and you know, I'll lead them astray, take them off to lunch.
Yeah, I've seen you there. We won't say where, but I've seen you there. You know, you say, you know, I'm motivated, and I am that kind of person, but you inspire me. Because to live life every day with diabetes is not an easy task. And for me, even if I'm having a bad day and I see you, I said, hey, there's James, he's happy-go-lucky. Get yourself together. And I'm happy that you came on this show so that we can inspire others. Because as you said before in the break, we're not here forever. You've got one life. And whatever obstacles come in your way when life isn't so perfect, it's important for you to just embrace it and move forward. That's right, yeah. The one thing I've noticed is that I've always had problems in my life. Always. There has never been a moment, even when I was a schoolboy, I was worrying because I didn't do my homework. Really?
And
so you're worrying what?
Well, no, not really. It was just that I've always known that I've always going to have problems. So this is what I do. I get up in the morning, I write a to-do list. It's a checklist. I sit at my desk and I go through as fast as possible and as accurately as possible everything on my to-do list, and when I finish my to-do list, I line.
That's a good philosophy. I'm gonna have to take you up on that.
Yeah, because who says that you have to be at work for 8 hours a day?
Who says that?
If you spend 4 hours at the water cooler, is that productive? No, it isn't productive. Be productive. You know, one of my first bosses in London, he was a German chap, and he said to me, we have a saying in Germany, Werk is Werk, Schnaps is Schnaps. Schnaps is a drink. And he says, what he was saying was, you know, when you're at work, work.
Right.
When you're not at work, enjoy your family, enjoy your hobbies, enjoy your home.
Absolutely.
Do whatever it is that makes you happy. But when you're at work, work. Because you shouldn't, you know, there are these people in the offices, I'm sure we've all seen them. They go to work, they love being there at 7 in the morning, they never go home till 10 o'clock at night. Are they productive? No, they're not.
Some will tell you that they are. But that's another show.
Yeah, that's another show.
But I want you now, as we're closing this segment, to talk to that person who maybe has just found out that they have diabetes. Maybe they have diabetes and they're not as good with checking their blood sugar and eating correctly and exercising. And they're looking at you and they're saying, okay, he is like me. Give them those words that's going to help them get up off of their couch, if they're on a couch like ours, to really move forward and to really embrace life with diabetes.
Right. Well, the first thing you should do is understand your condition. Diabetes is different for everybody, and everybody's body is going to react differently to different types of food. And your diabetes is never going to get better. It only gets worse. Okay. That was one thing that was told to me. So, and it will get worse faster if you do not manage it.
Okay.
So you have to get it under control. You have to keep it under control. And once you've got it under control, then you can relax a bit. But don't relax too much.
Right.
Yeah. Keep testing, keep on top of it, but know that you can live a full and rewarding life, and that all of the complications that come with diabetes are not going to come around.
Right.
You have to live your life, Tami, because you're a long time dead.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's right.
And you know, I remember perfectly well what it was like before I was born. It was boring.
It was boring. I believe that. There's a movie where a man says, get busy living or get busy dying. And I'm happy to know that you're getting busy living.
Yes.
Excellent.
Exactly.
It's been so wonderful.
Thank you.
Love the shoes. Can I just say that?
Yes. Well, these are important too, because, you know, diabetes, you need to have comfortable footwear. And you shouldn't walk around the house because you're susceptible to foot infections, and your infections on the extremities, they don't heal. So it's important to have good, comfortable shoes, and take good care of your feet, take good care of your hands, and try not to cut yourself, because they won't heal as fast.
See, that's another point I didn't even know about.
All right.
Thanks for that, James. Tami Live, we're going to be right back with things that make you go,
You're watching JTV.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Tami Live, Embracing Life with Diabetes. Sometimes when you talk about diabetes and chronic diseases, your conversation, your discussion can be quite depressing. But today, I'm sure you will agree with me, James Bridgewater brought this lighter side of living with a chronic disease and embracing it. But one of the major things I learned from James was management, and how important it is to manage the disease. Not let the disease manage you, but make sure that you're managing it. Tami Live is here to inspire, motivate, and uplift. And I hope that you, if you do have diabetes or know someone who does, you're able to maybe let them watch the show or talk to them about making sure they're properly educated about what they're going through. If you know someone who has diabetes, now you might have a little more education yourself to help them through those rough days. But I think what I'm really getting out of this show is life is short, people. We're not here forever. Some of us walk around like we're here till 120 years, but the truth is life is short. And anytime you can sit back and just embrace it, flaws and all, imperfections, diseases or not, I think if you have life to breathe, to smell the air, to just be in existence, that in itself is something to celebrate. Here is to life and the living of it. Tami Live, just be happy. See you next time.
Tami Live is sponsored by Umi Fashions, Norman Allen Photography, Charlie's, The Moorings, Premier Dentals, DG Lifestyles, and JTV.